Hey guys, welcome back. Took a week off, but we're back in action with another 1 hour mat Pilates practice, just using our own body. Let's go ahead and begin. We're going to start lying on our back. Once you made your way down onto your workspace, we'll have then the knees bent and feet grounded to the floor. Taking a moment to line the knees and feet up with our hip bones, which reside in the front of our body. So it's a narrow stance, only about 2 fist distances away from one another. The arms are going to be fully stretched down, but then we're going to angle them slightly out away from our sides. Palms are facing up to really allow the shoulders to roll open. And with that, we're also going to lightly press the backs of shoulders to the ground, which helps to broaden our chest space from collarbone, to collarbone. Crown of the head is going to reach and stretch to the back of our mat. The chin is going to land about fist distance away from the chest. And a nice thing to envision is imagining that you're holding a tennis ball in that space throughout your practice. Your eyes will softly close to bring your focus inward. And we'll always begin our practice connecting the mind and body through breath work. So let's begin by taking a deep inhale through the nose. Soft, steady exhale through the mouth. Again, breathe in deep. Make sure that you fill all the way up. Just let the breath spill out. But this time, make sure that you empty completely down to the very bottom. Little squeeze at the end. That way, when you inhale next, it starts in the pit of your belly, draws into the ribs, and fills to the top of the chest. And just pause there briefly and hold. Then as you exhale, I want you to empty from the top of your chest, press down through the ribs, and then a final squeeze out through the lower belly region. Inhaling, allow your ribs to expand open as the lungs fill with air. Then as you breathe out, I want you to knit your ribs back to your midline by squeezing breath out from start to finish. Keep an ease with your breath in. But now I want you to tightly purse your lips and really push and force the air out. Your exhales are now audible and strong. With the ease in your inhale, your belly fills, rises, lifts. When you exhale, that lower belly begins to draw downward deeply, navel pulling towards your spine. As you breathe in, the abdominal muscles will disengage and relax. When you force the breath out, those muscles contract, engage, and activate, really firming up the belly. I'd like you to continue to stay with this breath, as we don't often breathe like this day to day, so it is a practiced and learned technique. It is one that will help build up the relationship between your breath and your powerhouse, as they do work hand in hand. So seeing here, if you can start to pull your abdominal muscles in more deeply each time that you breathe out. Let's stay here for 4 more cycles of breath. In this time, really just tuning into the movement that's within inside of the body, the sensations that are being created, to help our minds clear of all other things so that we can really be present within the practice. Let's do 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale. Exhaling. Once more here, breath in big. With the exhale here, let's just gently open the eyes. Once the eyes have opened, when you take your next inhale, I want you to slowly turn your head over to look to your right shoulder. As you breathe out, the head then is going to slowly transition to look over the left shoulder. Inhale, head swivels slow, back over to the right shoulder. And then exhaling, moving with tempo of breath to look over the left shoulder. We're going to do 1 more to each. I want you to arrive at the top and bottom of your breath here. So inhaling until you can fill nothing more up You're finally then looking over the right shoulder. Then as you're breathing out, so you can no longer push any more air out, is when you're finally then looking over the left shoulder. Beautiful. And then go ahead and return your head back to a centered space. Once your head has centered, the arms that are slightly angled out, we're now going to draw and hug them in close by our sides. And we're going to really start to actively reach our fingertips down towards our heels for length. We're going to work next with a little bit of shoulder mobility, but this will also be a subtle core activator. So when you take an inhale next, I want both of your arms to lift to the sky, then slowly reach behind you to the back of your mat. As you breathe out, the arms are going to circle out and down, trying to keep your arms either in contact with the floor or as close to the floor as you can there. Again, we'll breathe in to lift arms overhead. And as we do that, the ribs like to pop up. So we want to do the opposite and seal them in. That's when you'll feel your core here. And exhale, opening out and circling down. Another thing that likes to happen when the arms reach back is our spine likes to lift off the mat. So make sure the spine stays imprinted to floor. Beautiful. Sweep out and down. Let's do a couple more here. And as we work through these, really feel the movement stemming from the shoulder joints. You'll also notice the shoulder blades that are in your back body have a little bit of movement as well as the arms travel. Let's do that again. Overhead with the belly tightening up here. And then exhale, circle out and back down. And once the arms are close in, we're going to actively press the backs of arms to the floor for support as we take another breath in. Now we're going to firm up our belly so we can use our core to lift the feet off the ground. Exhaling, slowly bring the knees towards our chest. And we'll place our hands on our knees for support. We'll start to draw some circles with our legs and really use our hands for guidance here. Remember that we want to move the entire lower half as one piece rather than us twirling from the feet or our knees. What we're thinking about here is really trying to massage and roll out the lower back region, the SI joints just above the tailbone. Beautiful. Let's take a moment to pause and reverse the direction. Big inhales. Strong but steady exhales. And then let's start to bring the legs back into stillness and really nicely center them with our body here. We're going to work on the mobility of our hips next and also get a little massage to the fronts, our hip flexors. Hands are still on the knees. On an inhale now, we're going to separate the legs to open them up nice and wide. Breathing out, circle the legs around, bring them back in together again. So inhaling, as we open the legs, we also want to try to hug them in closer towards our torso and then let them drop out and circle through. Make sure the hands always stay in contact with the knees. Let's do 4 more. Subtle pause at the top of your inhale when your legs are the widest, feeling that within your hips, and then continuing on. 3 more. Trying to find the fullest range of motion in that area of your body that you can. 2 more times. Breath in, slight pause, breath out. Last one here. Inhaling wide, wide, wide. Circle around, let the legs come back together once again. From this space, let's return both feet back to the ground and let's open the arms out to a T. I want us to continue to work with the hips, the fronts of them now. We're also going to start to warm up the lower back in terms of subtle rotation. And then also this will be another subtle core exercise or activator. So with our arms out to a T, our feet are going to take a step out to each side. The knees follow that distance. We want to have a nice wide stance with our legs. We want to use our arms as stabilizers. You want to feel them lightly press into the ground so the upper body stays nice and sturdy. Taking a breath in, I want your legs to slowly begin to lower over to the right side of your workspace. Then I want you to use your abdominal strength, breathing out to slowly bring the legs back up to their centered position. Now we'll breathe in to lower the legs down to the left side. And then breathing out, Belly firms up and you lift the legs. Legs right here should feel like they're along for the ride, not doing any of the work. Let's again come back to the right side. When we lower the legs, you're going to feel a stretch to the fronts of the hips, particularly the top leg in terms of this little staggered stance. Exhale, pulling up. So a better way to explain that, when you're lowering your legs over to the left, you're going to feel a little bit more pull and stretch to the front of your right hip, right? So opposites here. Exhale, bring it back up to center. Let's do one more to each side. Also with the legs lowering down, we're getting a little bit of lift and rotation in the lower back region. Actually, just cracked my back there. That was perfect. One last time. Inhale down to the left. Felt a little pop there. Exhale, belly strong, legs slowly pull up. And once they've lifted to center, let's take those feet a step back in. So you return to your narrow stance. Once you have, let's draw the right knee towards the body. Place both hands on the knee and stretch the left leg to the ground with a flexed foot so that leg can anchor to the floor. We're going to use both of our hands to start to hug the right leg in closer to our body, which will help to stretch into the glute and the lower back. As we hug the leg in, oftentimes our shoulders start to scrunch up to our ears. So rather, I'd like you to actively pull them down and away from, creating a lot more space. With the leg hugged in, we'll start to draw circles with the right foot, which helps to just kind of warm up and roll out the ankle. Be mindful that you're working on a full range of motion. It's not about how many you can do in this time. It's about how big the circle that you can create with that foot is. Let's reverse direction here for just a moment. Let's take that foot back into still. We're going to now take the right arm back out to its side. Make sure the palm is facing up. The back of the shoulder is pressing down. Using your left hand, we're going to slowly come into twist. So we're going to guide the right leg across to the left while looking over right shoulder. Now, we never want to rush into or force our bodies into this space. We want to ease into it and use our breath to assist us. When you inhale, it does create a lot of room and space in your body, so that when you exhale, that room and space releases. Therefore, it may allow you to settle more, become heavier more in this space. So over time, you'll find yourself releasing into form. Make sure your midsection expands when you breathe in, contracts when you exhale. Let's stay here 2 more times. Inhaling, exhaling. Once more here. Let's take a big breath in. Let's use our core strength on the exhale to help us unwind slow. Return back to centered space. And once we have, let the right leg release. Stretch it all the way down to meet the left and flex the foot here. When the left leg pulls in with both hands holding on, just my jeans here, and then hug the leg to body. Check shoulders when you do that. They really like to tense up. So we want to be active by pulling them down. With the leg hugged in, now we start to circle the left foot. Take your time, range of motion instead of speed. Then we'll reverse direction. Wonderful. Foot then comes into stillness. Left arm extends to its side, palm up, shoulder down. Right hand now for guidance as we cross the leg over to our right side. Looking over left shoulder for spinal twist. What can you let go of more each time you breathe out? Make sure the back of the left shoulder didn't lift off. Sometimes it does, but if it had, all you do is just press it back in order to allow our thoracic spine to actually have rotation versus it just lifting off of the ground. So let's stay here twice more. Inhale. Squeeze it all back out. Once more here, breath in big, fill it to the top. And then activate the abdominals as you unwind. That's to protect the lower back as we return to center. From that space, release the leg, bend the knee, ground the foot. Do the same thing with your right side. And then arms just beside you. We're going to work next on stretching out the outer hip and glute region of our body. Start by taking the right ankle, cross it over the left knee, flex the foot here. Briefly, right hand is going to come to your inner thigh and you're going to gently push the leg out. When we push out on the leg, it just starts to open up some more hip space. Once the hip has opened, you can come into any variation of the stretch here, the figure 4. So you can certainly stay right here as we are in this space. You may decide to lift up the left leg and hold on to it from behind. If choosing that, just check those shoulders. Again, that may mean sliding the hands down closer towards the glute rather than the knee. And just make sure that that right leg is still actively pushing away from the body. I want you to notice here how your right hip is feeling in this stretch. And I'd like you to take a breath in to that space. As you breathe out, I want you to slowly start to lean over to your left side. Just kind of shift your body weight and then notice what's changed in your right hip here. Yeah, you can feel it. And then let's come back to center. We're going to do that a few more times just to understand our body a little bit more. So breathing out, slow lean, and we're really taking our time so that we feel every inch moment of transition and change. Let's come back to center on an inhale. I'd like you to take 3 more. Generally speaking, when we do lean over to the left, the stretch starts to travel and wrap around towards the glute, and sometimes it can feel just a little bit more intense. Yeah, come back through center. 2 more times here. Slow lean, take your time. Come back through, breathing in. Last one here with this. Shifting to the left as you breathe out. Beautiful. Let's return back to center as you breathe in. Let's now use our exhale to release the stretch and uncross our legs. Let's do the other side next. Left ankle crossing, foot flexing. Left hand brief to that inner thigh to help push out on that leg. Open up some space. And then once it has opened, any variation on this side. Doesn't have to be the same thing you just did. It can be different, as sometimes our body needs something different from one side to the next. Check your shoulders in this space. Also check the distance between your chin and chest. Oftentimes our chin begins to poke up to the sky. So we just want to lengthen the back of our neck out again. So let's take now a moment to feel and to notice our left outer hip. Let's take a breath into that space. Now we're going to slowly lean to the right as we breathe out. Ooh, this side's a little bit more fiery for me. Come back to center on an inhale. So we are imbalanced as humans from right to left. So this may feel different. You may need something different. And being okay with providing that for your body. Come back to center. Let's do 3 more. As we shift through these, I do still want you to think about your tailbone anchoring to the floor. I also want you to think about your sits bones trying to stretch up to the front of your mat. Length, length, length. Ooh, come back to center. Breathe in. We're going to do this one last time. Leaning to the right, breathing out. Good. Returning back to center, breathing in. And then letting the stretch release as you exhale, both feet back to the floor. We're going to next work in stretching into the back side of our legs, hamstrings and calves. Let's start by lifting the right leg up to the sky. Hold that leg from behind and then root that tailbone back down, as it often tends to lift and tuck up. Once it's anchored, I want you then to actively feel the back of your leg push away and into your hands. Feeling now the leg really lengthening out and the arms straightening completely. Keep the energy of the leg doing that, but now I want you to bend the elbows. I want you to use your hands to try to pull the leg in closer. So you're going to continually fight your body between push and pull energy. So we're focused first just on the hamstring to start. Check back in with the tailbone. If you want a little bit more heat, the left leg can extend down to the floor, just so as long as it doesn't compromise the length to your right side. So while we're here in this stretch, I want you then to flex your right foot, really drive that heel to the sky. Notice now we're adding in stretch into our calf muscle. And then we're going to point the toes, which then allows the shin and the top of foot to get stretched out. So make sure that pointing is very active and strong. Let's do that a couple more times. Heel to sky. We want to hold this to feel the stretch. And then point the toes. We'll do that again. Flexing of the foot. Pointing of the toes. Then we're going to relax the foot, release the stretch, bend your knee, take your foot back to the floor. Let's take it to the left side, lifting the leg up, holding from behind, anchoring down. First, press out, get a lot more length. Keep the energy, but meet that by pulling in. So when you do pull in, the movement in isn't actually that big range of motion. It's just a small little pull. Again, the option to keep your right leg bent or extending the leg down. Sometimes that can provide slight more sensation to stretch. Wonderful. Here we are. Let's flex the foot, drive the heel up. Ooh. And point the toes. I did a leg workout yesterday, so a little bit tight here for me. Flex the foot, hold to feel. And then point your toes, hold and feel. Once more here, heel to sky. Wonderful. Point the toes. We're going to relax the foot, release the stretch, bend knee, take foot to floor, both legs now bent, both feet grounded. Return back to the alignment of knees and feet being hip bone width distance apart. We're also going to make sure here that our ankles are stacked beneath our knees. Overall, within our body, we like to really have bone on bone structure, right? That stacking of it really helps to engage the muscles that surround those bones. But it also just provides much more stability within our movements. Let's take our arms, lift them to the sky, next, stack right above the shoulders. Have your palms faced forward. Make sure your wrists aren't bent back or bent in. Everything has a stacking quality. For a moment here on an inhale, I want the backs of your shoulders to lift off the floor, and I want your fingertips to reach closer up to the ceiling. And then breathing out, I want you to take those shoulders and root them back into their sockets again and maintain that through this next movement. Let's take a breath in. Breathing out, firm up your belly, lift up your head, neck, and shoulders, and start to pull the arms down in front of you to a hovered space just above the floor. Now the fingertips really reach to the front of your mat space. Lowering back down, restacking the arms on an inhale. So we'll start here with some simple abdominal curls. Exhale, belly firms up, helps to lift head, neck, shoulders, eyes towards navel, but still holding that tennis ball between chin and chest. Take it back down, breathe in, restack the arms. We're going to do 4 more here. As we lift up, keep your tailbone anchoring down. Lower down, breathe in. Make sure the arms don't pull behind you here. Exhale, also make sure you're not swinging the arms down, not using momentum, just guiding them smoothly to hover. Inhale, return to the mat. Twice more. Good, come down, breathe in. Last time here. Let's stay lifted in space. Let's pump the arms out, vigorous pumping, stiff like a board. Move from the shoulder joints. Keep head steady, torso steady. Breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, good. 1, and then take everything down. Arms beside you, head to the floor. Maybe some turns of the head from side to side again to rest, release. So I'd like us to do a very similar movement, just now our body is going to be positioned a little bit more differently, and it's also going to be slightly more challenging, requiring a little bit more abdominal strength to support us. So from this space here, I want you to just hover your right foot off the floor, and then you're just going to straighten that right leg out, pointing the toes. So just really briefly, take a look down at your legs. You want your thighs to be lined up and parallel to each other. So not the right leg lifting, not the right leg lowering, everything in alignment. And then with the toes pointed, what that does is it activates the leg muscles, stiffens up the leg to keep it steady and still. Also with that, we want to externally rotate the thigh We're not pulling it open to the side. Think of the leg like a lid on a jar, right? It doesn't actually move from its location, it just twists. Yeah, wonderful. All right, so when we go through this next movement, we want to make sure this right leg doesn't move from this position at all. So it does require core strength and some leg strength as well. Our arms are going to stack again, but this time our palms are going to turn forward. Before we begin, the movement of our arms is going to be much smaller than what it was that first time when we pulled them to hover. So let's take a breath in while we're here. Again, we're going to firm up the belly, lift up head, neck, and shoulders. We're only going to pull the arms forward enough so that now our arms are parallel to that extended right leg. We want to feel the energy of your fingertips reach up towards the toes. Beautiful. Come back down, restack the arms. Again, a very subtle shift of them. Exhale, look up towards the foot as you lift, 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 reach for the tootsies, and then come back down, breathing in. Let's do 4 more here. Lower down. Also make sure that when we do our lift and reach, that our shoulders don't pull up to our ears. They drop into their sockets, plug them in. Come down on and inhale 2 more times. Right leg getting tired yet? Good. Come down, breathing in. This time, though, we're going to lift. We are going to pull the arms down to a hover. Palms face the floor. Pump the arms again. Everything else like a statue, nice and still. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let everything come down. Arms to floor, head and shoulders to mat, foot to the earth. Recovering, right? So when we move through our exercises, there's going to be times where our core is being used to move our body. There's going to be times where our core is being used to keep our body still, and there's times when they're doing both, right? So your abdominal powerhouse region has multiple tasks sometimes. So just being aware of your moving parts, but also be very aware of your non-moving parts. Let's do that on the other side. So hovered left foot. From there, all you have to do is kind of straighten out the leg, point the toes, and then just make sure the thighs are lined up. The left leg isn't above or below your right thigh. Then externally rotate like a lid on a jar, taking a quarter turn open. Arms lift up. Palms turned in, shoulders anchored down, breathing in here to prepare the body for the work. Breathing out, belly firms, lifts us up, reaching for the toes. Lower back down, take an inhale, restack the arms, make sure that left leg doesn't shift at all. Again. Inhale to return back down. These are half teasers. Let's do 4 more. 4. Lowering on and inhale. 3 more. I say the name of the exercise because we're going to revisit but coming to a full expression of our teasers. Let's do 2 more. Reach and point through those toes. Keep that leg stiff and strong. Come down on and inhale. This last one, as we lift up, the arms pull back down to hover, palms face the ground, and we pump those arms. Keep the legs still, the torso still, the head still. Breathe. Good for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let everything come down and rest. Ooh, some movement here if you'd like, or just some stillness if you'd prefer. So yes, half teaser prep, which will help us later on coming into a more full expression of. I'd next though like us to work on a little bit of a leg extension series. What I'd like us to do here is we're going to start with one area of the body having movement, and we're going to add more parts. When we add more parts, I really want us to focus on moving and working in unison versus one section of the body starting the movement and the other one following, which can tend to happen. So it's really tapping and tuning into our own body and how we can work as one. All right, guys. So we're gonna have the arms in close beside us, pressed to the floor. Arms are gonna be used in this exercise as a support system. So really make sure they're active and not just kind of hanging out heavy weighted. So with the arms pressed in, I want you to lift your feet off the ground. I want you to pull the knees into the chest. I want you to keep the legs here to start. Make sure your spine is also imprinted, as that too will be an anchor and a support system for your body. Let's take a deep breath in here to prepare. When you exhale, I want both of your legs to begin to slowly extend and reach away from the body. Come into full length, pointing toes, finding extra length through them. Let's pull the legs back in again on an inhale. So we extend the legs away, and then when we reach them higher to the sky, it will have more ease, more modification, but closer to the floor has more heat. Draw the legs back in again. Just be mindful. I'm going to do 4 more of these. Be mindful that when you do extend the legs, if they're too low, the lower back starts to arch, and that can compress as well. So be aware to keep the spine intact, the core tight, and not get too close to the ground. Again, arms press in to support this as well. Inhale, pull in. Let's do 2 more. At the bottom of your breath is when you're finally the longest with the legs. Top of the inhale is when the legs are pulled in the closest. Last time. Good. Knees draw in. Let's place hands on knees and just rock side to side to recover. So we're to add, like I had mentioned, more body parts for movement. So what we're going to do next is add movement of our arms. So again, making sure that both your arms and your legs arrive at the end point together. Keeping the knees in, we're going to stack our arms above our shoulders. Take an inhale. Now, as you breathe out, the legs still extend, but the arms also now will pull down in front of us to a hover like we once had at the beginning of our exercises. And then the knees pull in and the arms restack. So remember, we're arriving together. Exhale, extension of legs, pulling down of the arms. Length through fingertips, length through toes. Draw back in, stack back up. Let's just do 2 more of these before we add some more. Beautiful. So taking our time, right? We don't need to rush. When we rush, we start to lose concentration and focus. And we're just thinking about endpoints, but also thinking about the transition and travel to get there. Gonna take a moment just to recover again. We always want to just balance our body between effort and ease. So I want us to add 1 more body part that will move along with the arms and the legs. And that's just a lift of the head, neck, and shoulders. So essentially just pulling in an ab curl to all of this. So now our legs, our arms, and our head, neck, and shoulders will work in synchronicity. Yeah. Knees in, arms stacked, breathe in. Here we go. Exhale, legs extend, arms pull down, and head, neck, and shoulders peel up, eyes towards navel. Then we're going to pull the knees in, restack the arms, and lower the head and shoulders, breathing in. Work as one. Beautiful. Draw in, stack up, lower down, inhale. Twice more. Exhale, lengthen, pull down, peel up. Inhale, coming in, stacking up, lowering down. Last one. This time I want us to stay in this position. I want us to pump just the arms, keep everything else still. A little bit more challenging than before because both legs are lifted and the head and shoulders are lifted too. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, rest it out, recover. And I want us to work into our roll-ups next. Roll-ups is a really great exercise, one of my very favorites. A couple of reasons why. It's a dual exercise, meaning it's going to strengthen our core, but it's also going to give us a really juicy, deep back body stretch. So everything from the backs of our heels traveling up the back of our body and out through the crown of head. So just being mindful that our structure throughout this exercise is active and strong. So let's take our legs from here, lengthen them down to the floor. We're going to flex the feet. The flexing of our feet is really important, pushing out through the heels. It's going to be particularly important when we get to the stretch, but it's also going to be helpful when we start um, pulling in our lift. So with the feet flexed, you also want to make sure that your feet themselves run parallel. We do not want any external rotation here. So all 10 toes point up to the sky. You're also then going to feel your inner thighs really roll and hug into the midline of your body. Imagining that you had a little narrow block between your thighs and you were squeezing and holding onto that block. Your arms are going to stretch back behind you. When we do this, oftentimes the ribs begin to pop up. So we take those ribs, we seal them in. We imprint the spine to the mat, and then we also, you want to feel your pubic bone begin to zip up towards your navel. So roll-ups is as follows. Breathing in, arms, head, and shoulders start lifting off the ground. Then you're never going to stop or hesitate. You're just going to breathe out to continue to pull your body up to seated. From here, a big hinge forward at the hips. Start to stretch over those legs. Here's that deep stretch. Make sure your head is heavy, heavy, heavy through the arms. Your arms are parallel to your thighs, and that you're still pushing away through the heels of your feet. Then as you take your next inhale, you'll stack back up, look straight on, fingertips to the sky. Then as you exhale, start tucking your tailbone under, push out through the feet, scoop out your belly, round your spine, and articulate on the way down, one vertebra at a time. So imagine your spine were a string of pearls. Let's do that again. Begin lifting on an inhale. Pull yourself up through core strength breath. When you hinge from your hips, really feel your heart stretching up towards the toes so that you get all the length between the vertebrae for stretch. Inhale to come upright. Make sure always to look straight on so that the chin doesn't dive into the chest. Coming all the way back down. We're going to take 2 more of these. Really try to focus on eliminating arm swing and momentum to help get you up. If you do need assistance though, you're going to always take an elbow to the floor to help get you back to seated. Okay, 2 more. Here we are. Breath in, start it up. About tips of shoulder blades. Start to breathe out. Anchor the legs down. Lift your heart high. Hinge, fold, deep stretch. Stacking tall, breathing in. Arms almost slightly behind your ears on the way down. It does make it a little bit more tricky for your abdominals to control your body all the way down. One last time. Inhale, start it. Quality of your breath is really key. Force that air all the way out. Fold. Stacking tall, breathing in. Slower than you'd like to. Let's come down. Lower back reconnects. Middle back reconnects. Upper back reconnects. Neck, back of head. Arms. Beautiful. Circle the arms down beside you and take a moment to recover. Again, whatever that looks like or feels like for you. Just checking on time, see what we got going here, guys. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get into teasers, because honestly, teasers, the breath work and the kind of timing of movement is very similar to what we just did. The only difference is just a little bit variation in the positioning of our body. I want us to go through a small little series of teasers because there's modified ways to do things, and then there's almost full expression or more challenging ways to do things. So I want everyone to be at a space to where they can provide that for their body. So starting with a modified variation of your teaser. We're going to start with our legs in a tabletop position. So tabletop, we're stacking knees above hips and ankles and knees are on the same level. Much like the roll-ups we just did, our arms are going to start reaching behind us. So for modification, we are going to be using our hands, grabbing hold of the backs of our legs for assistance. Breath pattern, very similar to our roll-ups. So we're going to begin lifting up on an inhale, arms, head and shoulders, Pull the arms forward and grab the backs of your legs. Then as you breathe out, start to stretch the legs out, pull on the backs of the legs to help lift you to your teaser point. It's like a V point, chest lifted, shoulders pulled back, eyes just above the toes. Let's stay here for a breath in. And then breathing out, start to rebend knees, start to round the spine, legs back to tabletop, hands release. Low upper body comes down and arms reach overhead. So that's a modified variation. Let's do that again. Begin lifting up on an inhale, pull the arms forward, grab the backs of legs, then pull on those legs, exhale to extend them out, to lift up your heart, to pull your shoulders back. Look slightly towards the sky now. Let's stay here, breathe in. Then on the breath out, rebend knees, round spine, release the backs of legs, take the arms overhead. Draw the knees in, hands on knees, rock side to side. So that is a modified variation of teaser. We're going to go a step above, but if you feel like that was enough for you, you can stay at that level. So there's going to be options for your body here. You don't necessarily have to keep climbing up this teaser ladder, so to speak. So if that felt okay and right for you, go ahead and stay right there. I am going to start to show you though the next step to a modified variation, just a slight bit more challenging. So this time we're not going to be using our hands for this one. We are going to be doing it hands free. So the legs though will still start in tabletop, arms still reach back behind us. Excuse me. We are going to begin our lift again, breathing in, arms, head, and shoulders start. Then about tips of shoulder blades, start to straighten the legs out. Lift your upper body up, heart to sky. Arms are now drawn forward, arms parallel to our legs. Let's stay here on an inhale. And then exhale, draw back in, lower back down. Let's do that one again. So now you can see, right, the parallel lines we create that we did back in the beginning with our half teasers are now implemented in our teasers here. So one more time with a step up on our modification. Inhale, start your lift. Stay here, breathing in, point those toes, right? Lock up those legs. Exhale, bring it all the way back down to starting point. Once you've returned down, recovery, rest. So that's kind of second stage of teaser. If that felt right for you, you're going to go ahead and continue with that. I am just going to briefly show and describe our next final expression of teaser, the fullest variation. So that will start with our body in a nice long lengthened line, everything on the floor, legs stretched out, arms reaching back. Arms are just going to move here for a moment to show you visually what you want to imagine when you're working through this. So you want to imagine your upper half and lower half of body were divided in two right at your hips. So the upper half and the lower half should be lifting and moving simultaneously. So thinking of like those lawn chairs that kind of fold and open, that's what your body should kind of move like as well. So it will look as such. Breathing in, upper and lower half, start lifting up. Use the breath out and core strength to pull your body up to that teaser point. Yeah, let's hold here for a breath in. Breathing out, upper half and lower half come down together at the same time. Ooh. Let's do that again. Inhale, start your lift. Pulling up, staying here on an inhale. And then coming slowly back down on the exhale. So I'd like us to do 2 more teasers, any variation you'd like to. You can drop back down to a more modified, or you can build one up if you'd like to. But here we go. Any way you're doing it, you're going to start your movement on an inhale. When it starts to get physically challenging, push that breath out, come to teaser point. Stay here, breathing in. Exhale, coming back down. Beautiful. One last time. Let's stay here and breathe. Hold belly in, chest lifted, shoulders back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring the knees towards the chest as you lower back down and some movement here to recover. Teasers are one of my favorites. I don't do it that often in classes, but it's a really nice exercise to strengthen the body. All right. We're going to go ahead and work into some side body work next. So we're focusing a lot on the outer hips, the inner thighs, and our waistline, the obliques. So let's go ahead from here and roll onto our right side body. Rolling onto your right side, just make sure you're in a straight line and you're stacked up. I'm going to scooch back here so you can see all of me. Your head can be propped up with your hand here like mine is, or you could be resting on your arm. Noting that with your head propped, it does provide a little bit more stability, but if that kind of bothers your neck shoulder region, lying on the arm is a better bet for you on that one. Your left hand is going to come onto your hip and your elbow is going to point up to the sky. This elbow here is actually really important. It's almost like a guideline. If the elbow starts to pull back or starts to fall forward, that's also an indication that the shoulder, the top shoulder and the top hip has as well, which throws our body off alignment. So always making sure that stack is within you. We're going to flex both of the feet, pushing through the heels. Then I want you to feel your entire right side of body that's on the ground pressing into the floor. That's an anchor. Your top leg is going to hover. And then that leg likes to kind of roll open, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but then it's just going to start to focus on the quad. I really want us to focus on the outer hip. So I want you to roll that leg in just slightly so that your toes always point forward, that they never start to angle towards the sky. You're also going to look straight ahead. So your neck is lined right up with your spine. Here we go. Take a breath in with hovered leg. When you exhale, use your hip strength to pull that leg up a little higher. And then hover the leg when you breathe in. Again, exhale. Belly firms up. Hover the leg, breathing in. We're going to take 4 more here. 4. Hover it down. 3 more. Good. Hover. 2 more times. We lift. And then we hover. 1 more here. Let's pull the leg up slow. Now let's lower the leg just half the way back down. So the legs are about shoulder width apart. From here, I'd like you to point your toes and really actively lock out that leg. From your hip joint, we're going to start to draw some slow circles. Very small. Take your time. Your core has to work a lot harder here to prevent the upper body from wobbling. So stabilization here through abdominal strength. Breathe steady. Keep that leg stiff like a board. Let's continue here for 3, 2, 1. Pause, reverse the direction. Check back in with that elbow. If it's pulled back, then some part of your body may have as well. So restack, realign, be mindful of. Breathe for 3. Beautiful. 2, 1. Let's pause again and reflex the foot. We're only going to do 4 more of the next one, but be very mindful to work slow. Our abs work even harder, so it's a bit of a buildup here. When we take our next inhale, I want you to bend your left knee. I want you to start to pull that leg towards your chest. Foot comes out in front, and then press back out. So you also have to really rely on your bottom leg. Really dig the outer edge of your right foot into the ground. That will help you. Let's do that again. Bend knee without the elbow pulling back. Draw the leg out in front. Also make sure that when you do move through this, that your knee stays at the level of your hip. It doesn't dip down or lift up. Let's do 2 more. So our body's being thrown off balance because of our weight shift. All the extra weight out in front of us makes us want to lean back. So we're going to use our abdominals to keep us propped upright. 1 more time. Beautiful. And then let's pulse that leg. Last set of 5. For 5. Good. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, take the leg all the way down. Yowza, right? Let's bend that knee to the ground in front of us and let's tap out that hip, right? We're just kind of breaking up that lactic acid that gets built up when we work through our hip strengtheners. So we're going to move on next to our bottom leg to work the inner thigh. So let's take our left foot, step it behind the right leg. We're going to take that right leg and angle it just a bit more in front here with the hand back to hip, elbow back to sky. Flex the right foot, hover the leg. Now we're going to externally rotate the thigh so the inner edge of our heel points up, and we're going to lead with that. Not only will this be inner thigh strengthener, but this is going to be a nice kind of pelvic floor, lower abdominal strengthener as well. Take a breath in. Breathing out, lead with heel, lift leg up. Hover down on an inhale. So all these movements are very small. Exhale in order to prevent the upper body from coming out of its positioning. Come back to hover. We're going to do 4 more here. 4. And then hover. Again, lift. And hover. 2 more times, lift. Hover. Once more, we're going to lift up that leg. We're going to keep the leg in this space. When we take our next breath, then we're going to bend that knee. We're going to try to pull it towards our chest, much like we did before, but just a little different angle. Then as we breathe out, we're going to press that heel back up towards the sky. So your leg has to reach out in a diagonal position. Draw leg in. Press and drive back out. We're going to do 4 more here. 4. Press out. 3 more in. Push it away. 2 more times in. Beautiful. Press it out. Don't lose the flex of that foot. 1 more time. Inhale in. Exhale. Press out. We're going to hold that leg here in space. Roll that thigh open more. 3, 2, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah. 1. And then pulse it. Baby lifts. For 5, 4, 3. Belly tight. 2. Good. 1. Ooh, take that leg all the way back down to the floor. Then once it has, let's restack our legs. If your head is propped like mine, let's rest on that right arm. This time our left arm extends up, fingers spread, shoulder plugged in, toes pointed, legs and glutes squeeze nice and tight. Now we're going to be focusing on strengthening our waistline on our left side. Make sure your right arm isn't being used for assistance. Your right arm is actually just kind of taking a little vacation here, nice and relaxed. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, cinch your left side body in and lift up your head and lift up your legs. So take it down, breathe in. Again. Lower on and inhale. Let's do 4 more here. 4. Coming down. 3 more. Release 2 more times. When we do lift up, make sure that left hand doesn't really move at all. It keeps reaching straight up rather than pulling down, right? Lowering on and inhale. This last one, let's lift. Let's stay lifted and breathe. 3, be a little bit higher. 2, but keep that right arm relaxed. 1. Good. Slowly take everything down, arm included. Wonderful. So we get to do the other side. So however it's easiest for you to transition to that space. I really like doing side body work because it allows us to really understand which side of our body has a bit more strength. And then with that, and you'll notice that through which side feels like it has a little bit better balance, which side has a little bit more ease with the lift. And then with knowing that, we can start to maybe even start to balance our sides by maybe doing, a couple of extra sets on the one side that needs a little extra strength to it. All right, guys, straight line, stacked body, hand to hip, elbow to sky, pressing out through heels. Left side body is your anchor. Right leg is hovered, subtle roll in of leg, line neck up with spine. Here we begin again. On your exhale, that leg pulls up. And then hover it as you inhale. Everything moving with resistance here. So no momentum, no swing factor. Pull up through hip strength, also through your core. Firm up the belly. Hover the leg on and inhale. We're taking 4 more here. Push up through the heel. Hover the leg. 3 more. Hover. 2 more times. Lift. And hover. Once more. Exhale, lifting leg up. Beautiful. We're only going to take it down half the way this time. And we're pointing the toes. Feel the leg lock up and we start to circle that leg. Feel that belly firm up to support your upper half. Reach through those toes for 3. Beautiful. 2, 1. Let's pause, reverse direction. So now we're isolating, right, our movements here. Independent movement of the leg while everything else should be like a statue. Beautiful. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's pause again and reflex the foot. Just 4 of these. Lot of core, lot of bottom leg support. Bend the knee on an inhale. Start to pull that knee in towards body. And then push it away. So for me, doing it on this side has a little bit more ease than the last one. How about yourself? Yeah, let's pull in on an inhale. So just knowing and understanding our body here. Push it away. 2 more times. Breath in. Breath out. Oh, here he comes. I was waiting for it. Once more. Inhale, leg draws in. Push it away, breathing out. Keep the leg there, and then we pulse upward, upward, upward. Good. 5. Just a visit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Leg comes all the way down. Knee bends to the ground, and you can tap out your hip. Yeah, so we all know the animals drop in every once and again. Surprisingly, not the cat today. Alrighty, guys. So we go from top leg to bottom leg next, working inner thigh and lower kind of pelvic floor, lower abdominal region, which is actually a really tricky area to strengthen. So this is a nice exercise to get that in with. Our right foot steps behind us. Left leg angles slightly out in front. The hand back to the hip. The elbow back to the sky, the foot flexes, the leg hovers, and we roll out on the leg rather than in, right? So external rotation, and we're leading with our heel. Let's do it. Exhale, lifting leg up. Hovering back down, breathing in. Exhale. And then hover down with resistance. We're going to do 4 more. So feel that lower belly cinch in and up to help lift up your leg. Hover down. 3 more. Hover it. 2 more times. Lift. Hover. Last one. Exhale, lifting leg, holding it in that space. When you take a breath in, the knee will bend. You'll pull the leg towards body. You're going to push it out. Remember, diagonal upward towards sky. Yeah, let's do that again. Draw leg in, excuse me, and then drive the leg out. People, we're going to do 4 more. 4. Who says you can't do Pilates in denim? But it was going to be tough, not too bad. In. Good. Press it away. 2 more times. Check that elbow. Make sure you're not falling back with it. Good. Drive it out and up. 1 last time. We pull leg in. We press up towards sky, and then we just want to hold the leg here in space. Roll it open. If it started to roll in, 3, higher. Yeah. 2, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah. 1. And then we pulse. Micro movements. Emphasize lift, not drop. 5, 4, 3. Good. 2, almost there. 1. Wonderful. Take that leg all the way back down to the floor. Once you have, let's stack up those legs. Let's rest on that left arm. Reach that right arm to sky. Spread out those fingers, plug that shoulder in, right? So we don't want it to be pulled away and separated from its home base. When we lock it in, that gives us much more control over our body. Toes pointed, legs squeezed, glutes are in tight. Let's inhale to prepare. Now it's the right side of our body, our waistline cinches in and lifts up our head and lifts up our legs. Yeah, come down on the inhale. So particularly with our side body work here, you're gonna notice maybe you can lift higher or not as high this side than last. Exhale, pull up. And then come back down. Really make sure you're not tossing your body up quick because again, that's momentum. Let's do 4 more. So you're using the entire breath out to get to lifted space, which forces the muscles to work harder to get there. Lower on and inhale. That may mean the lift is smaller, but way more effective. 3 more. Let's pull it up. Remember, left arm super relaxed here. Coming down on an inhale. Let's do 2 more times. Your right arm stays nice and vertical. We don't want it to start to pull down at all. Lower on and inhale. Last one here, we lift. We stay lifted and we don't hold our breath. 4, 3, point those toes. 2, come up a little bit higher. 1, good, and then slowly take everything down to the floor. Let me check time again just to see what we've got working with here. All right, let's press up to seated, guys. We're gonna get a little stretch here for inner thighs and outer hips. So once you have sat up, we're gonna come into our butterfly stretch. So we're gonna take the soles of our feet together in this space. Do a sideways profile for this one. Soles of the feet together, the knees open up, and then either holding onto feet, ankles, or shins to the point where you can really sit up nice and tall. Flat back is key here to start. We're going to hinge in from the hips, lean in closer to the legs. I don't want you to start to pull away from them because then we lose our stretch. So always imagine your heart reaching past your toes and you're always looking about 5 feet forward out in front of you. From this space though, we are going to start to round in the lower back, but continue to stretch forward as you do. Middle back, continue the length. Upper back, and then the head is going to lower partially. I still want you to look beyond your toes. I also want you to feel your navel, your belly button, maybe you're reaching up closer to your heels. What that does is it allows the pelvis to tilt forward a little bit more. It allows our sits bones to get a little bit more lift. And with that, it starts to work more into the outer hips. So in this space, I'd like you to breathe down low and deep. And exhale away. Do that twice more. Big inhale. Long, steady exhale. Let's do that one more time, guys. Big breath in. When you breathe out, you're going to start to stack again. Lower back, middle back, upper. Head is the last thing to come up. Once it has, we're going to come into a cross-legged position. This is our finisher for our practice. So cross-legged, sits bones now rooted, heart lifted high. Your arms are going to be beside you with the palms turned up. Here we go, guys. On an inhale, the arms reach out. They lift to the sky and the hands lightly touch above the head. Then as you breathe out, the hands pull down through midline, right to your heart center connection. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, sweep down, reach out, lift up, light touch above. And then exhale, a connection within. Last one here. Inhale, imagine you're gathering up energy in between your arms. You're holding that energy above you. They're taking that energy and bringing it within inside you. You're going to keep your hands here at your heart. You're going to lower your chin towards your chest and close your eyes, bowing into yourself. Taking this time to also thank yourself for showing up here to your practice today, for being present for it, mindful with it, and really connecting deep to your body. We are a given one, so it's really important to honor, listen, and respect it. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Enjoy this one with many more to come. I will see you all next time. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao.